What up, y'all? Thanks for always watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button. A lot of y'all leave comments, which are dope, and I appreciate that. Just go back, double back, hit that like and subscribe so the algorithms can, send this out to everybody else that's into what we into. Peace. What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of What Words Are Worth. And today I got a friend, a brother, an icon, a legend, a lyricist, a playwright, script writer, author, whatever you want to call him, whatever you want to say about him. He's done it. He's still doing it at a high level. Inspiration, influencer, motivational speaker, everything that encompasses a great writer, a great artist that will withstand the test of time, and his work will be around for centuries to come, that we will always study and learn things from day by day. Welcome to the stage, Masta Ace.
What up? What up? What up? I'm on stage. Let's go.
Yo, man. Thank you for this, man. This is gonna be dope, man. It's gonna be dope.
Looking forward to these questions.
Yeah, when I started thinking about doing the show, it definitely came to mind based on the fact of who you are and what inspired me to become who I am, and what we both have in common is integrity in writing. Like, you don't play no games. If something ain't good, you're gonna be like, nah, that ain't it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll let me know, like, nah, I ain't really feeling that. Or
I don't think I ever said that to you though.
Oh, you make a face or you give an expression for sure. You definitely let it be known.
I don't think I ever said to you, nah, that ain't it.
Nah. You what's dope with you though, you like the dope thing is, like, you give me a shot at coming up with hooks. You'll give me a shot at anything. Like, yo, I got this, need a hook, this and that. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You might even say, yo, say it this way. So I don't mind learning from you, which is dope. But I think that helps with why we're so tight in general. We're willing to learn, and that's just part of I think who we are. Like, we both are like curious people, and don't mind learning from others. I think that's probably part of the reason why you still here and well regarded, because the way you're able to absorb information. What do you think about that?
Definitely. I've learned from you as well. I remember specifically, you ain't gonna remember this, but I was doing a feature for these guys out in the UK, and when I was coming up with the hook, it was whatever the hook was. It was something that was just kind of like on a negative vibe, and you was like, why would you go that way with it? Like, why wouldn't you be on some other stuff? And I was like, you know what? Like, I didn't even think about it like that. And I rewrote the hook. It was the same cadence, but I just changed the word. I can't think of the name of the joint. It was oh man, it was whatever the original hook was. It ended up being keep building or something like that. It was more pod, but I originally wrote was more on a negative vibe, and you said something to me and it made me kind of like rewrite it based on, and so I ended up liking the way I changed it to better.
Dope, man. Yeah, I learned a lot too, with going forward doing music from you, on the basis of writing, as far as like, not, I don't always have to be on the hook. You can find other people to be on the hook. It's okay to collaborate with others, which
Right.
is, part of like your legacy of doing like the INC and everything that you've done, the EMC and everything. Like, you don't mind collaborating. So maybe that's, kind of, we'll delve more into that. So I wanted to start off first with, like, what's the origin of your name?
I don't have any really great story about my name, honestly. I was the first couple of names I had were based on the first initial of my name. So D Ski was like the name that I had before I switched it to Masta Ace. I was DJ D, then I was D Ski. When I started rhyming, I was D Ski. So, you know.
Oh, you was a DJ?
Yeah, I was a DJ first before anything.
I
DJ.
didn't know you was a DJ.
I mean, this is literally like the beginnings of hip hop. So steady pace. It was 5 of us in our crew, in our DJ crew.
Oh yeah, I do remember that story now. Yeah.
And so we were, in the projects, and I ended up asking my mother to buy me a turntable. Really, she bought me a turntable so I could be in the crew. And so I contributed one turntable. One of the other guys contributed a turntable. Somebody else contributed. That's how we all got in the group, being down with this DJ crew. And it wasn't no techniques or nothing like that yet. Like everything was like belt drive. If you stopped the turntable with your hand, the turntable would stop, and you couldn't know even the scratching was really difficult. You had to put something down so that the record would spin back. It was anyway. We had this makeshift DJ set up with mismatched turntables, and that's how I started.
So then, where'd you get to saying, okay, I like Master, and then I like Ace? I mean, I know those are 2 like high levels depending on the games you're playing, and
So when I was calling myself D Ski in those days, 80s, ski was common. Like a lot of dudes had ski, and you would see it on graph and all that. So if you was Mike, you was Mike Ski. If you was Dave, you was Dave. So everybody was doing that. But then as it got more towards the mid 80s, ski was kind of played out, and it was I can't keep using ski. So it was like, all right, everybody started. I was hearing Master a lot. A lot of dudes was calling themselves Master. So I was like, okay, that seems to be the new kind of trendy, name to use. So let me just figure out how to freak it. And so I was walking home one day and I saw a graffiti piece on the wall, and it had a ace of spade in the graffiti piece. And I was like, oh, I could take the Master and throw Ace with it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with that. And that's really how it came about. It's a terrible story, but that's how the name came about.
So, how would you define like your writing style? Let me tell you my vibe of it first, and then you let me know, you know, where you got it from. So, to me, your writing style, I think, is clear as day for any person to listen to, and that's what I think why it will last forever. Right? There's no like you have to be like overthinking. You don't, it's subtle and it could be clever at the same time. And it still maintains its potency with the word. You have the word choices down. So it's very strategic. And you find a way to keep it strategic, clever, direct to the point, and also relatable. So it's so many different facets to what you write. How do you develop that style? How do you see your style? And was that also something that you was very mindful of? Because we done seen so many styles, brothers. You could have went to this style. You could have said, let me switch up and do this style. But it's like you stood that course that is difficult for an artist to stay and figure it out.
One of the things I think was important for me was articulation and pronouncing words properly. That comes from school. That comes from my English teachers. They were always, oh, you're so articulate. The way you speak is so articulate. So I always carried that with me. And when I started rhyming, it was already part of me. So it was actually difficult for me to not articulate. And one of the things that I didn't like about my rhyme style was I felt like I was saying the words just too clearly, too proper. And I felt like the average street kid wasn't going to relate to me because of the way I pronounce words. And it took me a while to kind of like break away from worrying about that and just being me. Part of me wanted to kind of dumb down the pronunciations a little bit. I mean, I do it here and there. because at the end of the day, we are trying to communicate with the masses, and so sometimes you got to speak in a way that they get you. But I have to make a conscious effort to dumb it down. Otherwise, I'm like super articulate with every word. But there's fans that like me because of that reason too.
Yeah, I would also ask, do you think when they were saying you were articulate, did you have I guess kind of apprehension towards that definition? Because a lot of times when people are referring the word articulate to a black person, well, you know, sometimes it can be taken as a jab, and sometimes it just is what it is. Did you see any sides of the coin of that at some point?
So at the time that my English teachers, which were all white women generally, were saying this, I took it as a compliment. I was too young to understand the underlying connection to racism that had. The idea that I'm so surprised at how well you speak because you're a black boy. But I was too young to pick up on that. I was just accepting the compliment as a good thing and feeling good about, feeling good about that compliment.
Yeah, and probably it was best that it was taken that way, because you just took it for what it was and went about and became who you are. So going forward, now you start writing these rhymes. When you start crafting these lyrics, how are you crafting these lyrics? You know, are you, paper, pen? And today, are you still paper, pen? Are you on the computer? Are you writing in your head? What's the way you craft?
So when I first started rhyming, right?
Yeah. I
was taking rhymes that I heard on mixtapes from parties around New York City, because that was a popular thing in the 80s. Was they would have these parties uptown at a club called Harlem World. There was a bunch of different clubs in Manhattan, rooftop, whatever. Dudes would be at these parties and they would be rapping routines and such. And so the first time that I decided to add some rhyme into one of our tapes, I would take the rhymes that these dudes were saying. I would take the actual rhyme, change the words, put my name in it, take their name out. When they said their name, I said my name. Yeah. And I basically started off, copying these other rappers that I heard on tapes. And it wasn't until after, I did that a few times. We made tapes with them just to make our tapes sound better. But then at some point, the term biting was introduced to the hip hop vernacular. I don't remember exactly when that term was introduced, but I understood what biting meant, and I was like, "Oh, I can't do that no more. I gotta write my own stuff." And so, at that point, then I started, and actually, I was good at it. By the time I got to high school, like I was writing my own rhyme straight up, and I remember writing this long story rhyme on a bus ride to school, because I lived 2 long bus rides away from where I lived. My school was like 2 long bus rides all the way down in Sheepshead Bay, part of Brooklyn. Right. So I had to take the 12 bus to the 44, and it was like easily an hour on the bus. And so I remember this particular time where I came up with this whole story in my head, no paper, no nothing, just memorizing this whole rhyme, which at the time wasn't difficult because it's not like I had a Rolodex of rhymes in my head. I was new to it, so yeah, I memorized this whole crazy long story rhyme all the way to school, and that was like the first time that that was in the days that I was first writing my own stuff, and I was just in the head with it.
So then today, what's your method? Your computer, phone? What's today's method?
Today's method is phone. My memos in my phone. I switched over to phone right around 2004 when I did the album Alone Hot Summer.
Okay.
Before that, it was pen and paper. It was actually used to write my rhymes in piece books. For those that's graph writers out there, y'all know the black book with no lines. It couldn't have lines. I didn't like the paper with the lines on it. It had to be no lines on the paper. I like to just create my own. So my stuff be all over the place. But I started off writing my rhymes in piece books, and around 2004 when I was working on the next album, I started doing more in the phone. That was when I I want to say that was when the either the Trails were out. It was like either the end of not Blackberry, the end of what's those joints called that
Two
we had
Ways.
Two Ways. It was like the end of Two Ways going into the Trails, and I started writing the rhymes in the phone, and I never went back. I promised myself that I would go back to pen and paper, but I just never did because of the convenience of it. You know, I remember the early 2000s. Next to my bed when I slept, I would keep my rhyme book would be there with a pen, and I had a little mini flashlight. And so if I thought of a rhyme in my sleep, because a lot of times in the middle of my sleep, I would think of some lines, wake up, grab that little mini flashlight, shine it on the book, write that down, go back to sleep. And there's many times that I've not written it down when I thought of it. I'll remember in the morning. Next morning,
nah, that's not happening.
I don't know what. I just know it was dope. I know, whatever it was dope. But I did not remember what I came up with.
I seen a Seinfeld episode. He did that. He woke up. He wrote something. He woke up next morning. He's like, "What the heck I wrote?" They got an episode about that. But I wanted to ask you also, with dealing with that and then devices, do you feel there's a sense of passion or integrity lost because now you're not doing it with the paper and pen? Which some people feel like there's like a maybe like a sacred connection to it with writing it, with going with the hand to the paper. There's more of a connection versus, hey, it's just this digital device now. I'm typing it up like anywhere else.
No, I don't feel there's no, for me anyway, there's no loss of integrity. I do like having those pages though, because you can always go back to them.
Yeah.
And a lot of times in my old rhyme books, I'll find lines that was meant for a song that I didn't use. Like right. I decided not to use this line, but it's still there on pen and paper, versus if it was in my phone, I'm not using that, delete, and never see it again. So yeah. I like the idea of having old parts of rhymes that I could go back to and look at and go, oh shoot, look what I said. I said this on the song, but I actually wrote this. I changed it in the booth. So I kind of missed that aspect of it. But yeah,
So as you've been crafting these records and these songs, what is it for you first? Is it chorus first, verse first? What do you prefer?
Never chorus first, always verse first. I can't even think of, off the top of my head, I can't think of a joint where the chorus came first. Actually, that's not true. On the new album with me and Marco Polo, the joint featuring C Red, Smitty sings the hook, and that joint right is called Outside In.
Yeah.
And so, but that's different because Marco came to me with the beat and the hook was already there. I don't usually do that. I don't like that because I don't like being pushed in a direction.
Why?
I don't know. Like, it's not organic to me. It's like, because to me that's what commercial artists do.
Okay.
The commercial artists that are out there that have these radio records, a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them, the producer comes to them with the beat, chorus, everything is there. The singing, all they gotta do is literally plug in their rhyme.
Right.
They write 2 12s or 2 8s. Sometimes it's 2 8s, and they done. And the hook and the beat carry the song. So I'm usually kind of reluctant to mess with joints like that. Marco he submitted like 4 joints where Smitty did hooks to him, and
okay.
I reluctantly chose that one. I like how the song came out, so I'm happy with it. But in a lot of cases, I want to kind of decide on my own what the song is going to be about, and not be influenced by this hook that somebody else wrote. That's just me though.
So it was like more of like an internal tug of war within yourself with hearing these other submissions where they fire and you just was like, well, they
were all fire. They were all fire, right. But it was like, okay, he's singing this. Now, what's my song about that connects to that? And I didn't like being forced in a direction with my rhyme.
Right.
Yeah.
So then how long does it take you to write a verse?
It depends, man.
Or a song.
It depends on how much I love the beat. If I love the beat, then it could be fast. Like I wrote a joint the other day for somebody for a feature, and like they said the deposit, I had the beat. I said, all right, cool, I'm gonna work on it today. And I hit them the next day with the verse. He's like, yo, that was mad fast. We didn't expect you to have it. So because usually I can take up to 2 weeks, but it's not 2 weeks writing. It's not really 2 weeks writing. It's 2 weeks just walking around, thinking about the beat and where I want to go with it, and letting the beat kind of tell me or dictate to me what my verse is going to be about. Sometimes the beat speaks to me faster than other times. Sometimes it's a struggle. It's like, man, this beat is not something I would have really rhymed to, but I'm gonna try to like. I take it as a challenge, unless the beat is just completely horrible, and then I'm gonna be like, yo, you got something else. But if it's a beat that I could work with, I'm not a fan of it, but I could work with it. Then I make it a challenge. Let me see if I can come up with something hot for this. If I can come up with something hot for this, I could do anything. So in a lot of cases, it was just a matter of, bogging down and letting the beat kind of play in the background. That's how I really write. I don't sit down and go, okay, time to write rhymes. Like I can't write like that.
Right.
Lines never come to me when I'm sitting. Like I don't like writing in the studio anymore. I used to do it, but I don't write in the studio anymore. I got to be doing something unrelated to writing in order to write. So a lot of times if I'm I got washing dishes, beat playing in the background, working out in the gym, beat playing in the background, straight cleaning up the backyard, anything, housework, anything like that will bring better rhymes to me than me sitting down trying to write rhymes.
Yeah, I've seen you come up with bars driving.
Like I do a lot. I wrote whole songs driving.
I've seen you do that driving. Yeah. I've seen you really be in your element, like just driving. Yeah. I tell people a lot of times it's good to maybe take a drive. I might do that myself. I might just all of a sudden want to go get something from the store. And I just, I feel like it's such a sedative state because you're not stressing the rhyme so much. You're driving and so relaxed that it's coming to you kind of just freely as when we're just outside with our friends. That relaxation is there. But I wanted to ask you as well, how do you balance the integrity of a time that it really takes you to write a verse that you feel personally versus the financial aspect of it, right? So like the other day, he paid you, you felt it, knocked it out. But I think as an artist and speaking to a lot of artists, sometimes it's, hey, this is what CBS is offering. They offering 30,000. It got to be done in 2 hours. How many of us are not taking that offer, right? So how do you balance that side of it as well? Because I think sometimes we have to make those sacrifices. So how do you jump
that? Because I've definitely done that. I've definitely jumped on joints for a fee that I maybe didn't really feel like that.
Right.
But what I have to do is I have to remind myself that this is one of my revenue streams. Like this is as an underground artist. I'm not a commercial artist. I don't get, $150,000 advance every year or every album. So I have to be very calculated in how I, approach these things.
Right.
And if like I said, usually if it's a beat that I can figure out something out too, then I'm gonna do it. And in some cases, the cats that's rhyming on the song are not good rappers in some cases.
Yeah.
They're just not talented like that. And so I've heard dudes say, oh, well, he's trash. I can't do that song with him. I'm like, listen, he could be whatever he is. My goal is to make sure I sound dope on the joint. Whatever everybody else sound like is their business.
Right.
Am I happy with my performance and what I put down? That's all that matters, really.
Yeah. I also think there's a balance of understanding a business opportunity, right? Because it could be like, okay, I'm not feeling this and this and that, but this will open the door for maybe this movie I have going on, this book. I'm going to do this because I see it gets me in front of these people and to hear me. And so I think there's so many dynamics to it that, you know, I don't think you can really just say, I'm not doing that. I think that comes from experience, I think, too, a lot.
The other element of that is, for me anyway, is challenging myself. I like the challenge of, like, I hear some quirky beat that I would never have picked for myself.
Right.
And then I'll be like, okay, let's see how creative you can be. Come up with a dope verse for this. Can you do it? Can you? So I challenge myself in my head, like, all right, I could do this. Let me figure this out. And I'll come up with a flow that fits that quirky ass beat. And when it's all said and done, I'm like, damn, I like what I did to that. And I wouldn't have thought that I could have came up with that.
Yeah, you know, one of the Certified record, right? That's called Certified, right?
Yep.
Right, man. So when you sent me that song and I heard that beat in the drums, I was like, okay,
yeah. How you gonna rhyme to this? How you gonna rhyme to this?
Yo, and it came on, and the way he was flowing on that, I was like, yo, you floating on this right here. You floating on this. Yo, because you know,
Coach Contra.
I know, yeah. Shout out to Coach Contra, man, and Marco Polo, man. And I just, because for me, I know you could do every and anything. I've even remember the rhyming over the Simpsons flow. You know that song you did then back then. So I've heard so many flows. So I know that, you know, when you're picking what you're doing, you're very calculated in what you do and what you're choosing to do. So when I heard the Certified, man, I was amped, because I was like, it's kind of one of those things of like, people can hear you on something like that and be like, oh snap, I didn't know he's, you know what I'm saying? So it's an underestimation, I think, sometimes, of how many flows you got, because, you know what I'm saying?
That's a perfect example of me challenging myself. So Marco wasn't even going to play that beat for me. He's like, I wasn't going to play this for you. My boy Shaw was like, I think you should play it for Ace. He's like, Ace ain't gonna like this. I'm like, all right, play it, right? So he plays it, and I'm like, immediately, I'm like, okay, this is way different than anything I would do. I said, okay. I said, let me get that. Let me get that. He said, you serious? I'm like, yeah. I said, because right away, I already had the cadence. Immediately, I had the cadence. I knew where I was going to go. And so he was like, okay. And then when I laid the verse, he's like, yo, I didn't think you was going to mess with this. I'm like, well, I said, don't hold back these weird beats. I like weird stuff sometimes. I like something that's a little off the beaten path.
Yeah, man. I think like you said, challenges us, and people get to hear a different flow that they wouldn't expect you to try or do. Right. I think it also elevates your status in their mind of how dope you are too, because sometimes they can get used to kind of hearing us a similar way, kind of consistently. And when you do something different, it's like, dang, I forgot. I didn't know you could do that. And anybody that's listening to you new can also say, oh, wow, I didn't know you could do that as well. So yeah, that's one of my favorite records from you. Young Black Intelligent, that's my other favorite record. So those records right there, like, special for me, man. So
I wish you were around when I was recording the Young Black Intelligent in particular. I wish you were around. Like that's
record. That's probably my favorite record by you. That might be my favorite record by you of all time for me.
I don't know if I ever told you this about that song, but the day that I went in to record that vocal, the first time I started saying the first verse, I got mad, teary-eyed. Rich had to stop the beat. I stepped away from the mic and I just sat down. Got tissue, had to gather myself. And the thing is, Rich, our good brother Filthy Rich Ahi, he was instinctively, he knew something was going on, but he just let me calm myself down. It was no conversation at all. No conversation. I got emotional. I put the headphones down. I sat down, gathered myself. I was like, all right, I'm ready. Let's listen to it again. And then I was good.
I wonder, do you feel like like, because you know, you write these songs and you've written hundreds of verses, hundreds of songs. Um, do you feel like when you were saying this verse, you kind of like maybe reached your peak of why you were here? You know what I'm
I don't.
saying? Because you've written a lot of verses, you know what I'm saying? But that connection to that particular rhyme, I guess, because my question
It,
is, do you understand the impact of being in this moment, writing this verse, what the song about? Because you don't have other songs like that to me at all, right? Because that's the other thing I think that's dope about still creating and
yeah,
getting to that record. If you would have stopped years ago, would have never got that record, and I would have never got my favorite Masta Ace record.
right.
So do you feel like you may have kind of hit something like a spiritual plateau at the time of vocaling that, and the realization of the peak of your powers about when somebody hears this?
I honestly didn't think at all about other people. That song
Mm,
was a very, very personal song to me. That song embodied my childhood, growing up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, in the projects, and being a kid that wasn't no sucker, but got ridiculed and joked about just because I got decent grades. Like it was like
right.
I was like the and I didn't get like teased or nothing like that. It was just like jokes, just little jabs, like this guy, oh you got another 100, like that type of talking.
Mm,
Um, Never was I bullied or anything like that, but it was just more like dudes just saying little slick stuff, and it was based on me just being a good student, something super simple, but
right.
I walked around with like a little bit of a complex, feeling like it was almost like being smart was something that was against it was a shot against you in the hood, as opposed to being a smart kid and getting good grades. And I fought against that like really my whole childhood. I never went the other direction. I stayed on my path of I'm gonna be a good student, and that, it is what it is. And I just try to be around other good students. But that song it embodied my childhood in a lot of ways. Everything that I said on that record, like it hit home, and that's why the emotion came about. And at the point of recording that, my mom's had passed years before, so it was like a full circle moment for me. Moms and grandma were gone at that point, so it was just a full circle moment to write that joint.
So what is it like for you when you're writing these records? Or you prefer writing in the studio, or you prefer writing at home? What's that like?
I don't write in the studio anymore. The only time I've ever written in the studio was when I was under pressure to give somebody a verse, a 16. Like I could do a 16 in the studio, a
Right.
simple 16 for somebody else. But if it's my records, it's something that's for my album, I'm not writing that in the studio. I gotta be home in the comfort zone, um, writing in my element, whether it's driving or doing something around the house. I got to be in the right element to come up with what I need to come up with. Like today, I was writing the first joint for the new album with me and Marco. Something just said put on a beat, and I didn't even know which beat I was going to play. I just first thing I chose, I picked it, and I just started coming up with lines and ideas. So, and I was washing dishes while I was doing it.
So what's the, I guess, atmosphere when creating time wise? Is there like a morning nighttime thing that goes on? Is it like wake up early morning? You got these days, you're home this amount of time. Tomorrow this is going on, so I got to do it here, and then um, and on my side, it's more everybody's asleep, so I may do late night, or everybody sleep in the morning, so I'm early morning, 6 a.m. to maybe 10 before the house wakes up. What are your best times to write the verse?
So I feel like I'm at my most creative early in the morning, like when the sun is just starting to come up. So from the state of being asleep, a lot of times I'll be awakened by ideas, and then I can't go back to sleep. So I pick the
Yeah.
phone up and I start jotting. I'll put the beat on, the earbuds in, and I'll just start jotting, some lines down in the phone. But I feel like that's when I'm at my most creative. But then in terms of the other atmospheres, driving is a big one.
Right.
Like I used to hate getting stuck in traffic. I still don't like getting stuck in traffic, but if I'm by myself and I can put the beat on and just let the beat do its thing, and those kind of in that environment, in that atmosphere, I forget about the traffic. It's just all about coming up with the lines. Like I'm driving and I'm, New York City traffic, stop and go, stop and go. It doesn't even stress me because I'm in this writing zone, and I get a lot of stuff done stuck in traffic.
So then, as far as the beats, right? And do you prefer to write directly to the track, or do you have bars that's like sitting around and you're like, oh, this fits that. I remember reading about like Guru would come into the studio and he would have a book of rhymes and then put them to the beat. I know there's people that have rhymes and they put them to the beat, and then there's some people that only write to the beat. I used to, when I know younger, we can recall being younger, you couldn't even come outside without hundreds of rhymes in your mind. Like you had to be ready for a battle or whatever was going to go on and stuff like that. But as time went on, I think we started learning more techniques of matching tone and mood and identifying what the track sounds like. So what's your process of that? Is it writing to the beat, or you have rhymes?
I always write to the beat. I write for my stuff. It's always writing to the beat because the beat dictates the cadence and the flow, and I try to tailor the rhyme scheme and the cadence. I try to tailor it to the beat based on what the beat is saying. But I do have a couple of folders or memos, I should say, with throwaway lines. Like sometimes I'm writing a rhyme for somebody, and there'll be 5-6 lines that were fire, but they didn't fit. They didn't make it on that verse, and I just save them, compile them. So in the event that I'm stuck in a situation where I'm in the studio and I gotta write, which doesn't happen often, but if I'm ever put in that situation and I'm like, because I don't write well in the studio with the beat playing, I'm not as good. But if I'm stuck, then I go to that folder,
right?
And I'll just look at a couple of those lines that I never use, and it might be one line in there that sparks a whole verse because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna start it with that. I never use that. That's fire. And so, yeah, I've done that, but it's never for my stuff. It's usually for somebody else's stuff.
And then once you start recording, punch in or straight through? What do you gotta do you mind if you get punched in, or you are one of those artists that like, I can't even do this verse unless I go straight through?
Nah, I don't mind punching. I prefer not to punch. I feel better that if I'm able to just get through the whole thing. But in some instances, I might say everything perfectly except this one line that the way I pronounce this one word. Right. And if I like everything else about the verse, but I don't like this one line, then I'm going to do a punch to fix that line and not do the whole entire verse over just for that one line. That's what I like to do. And then there's other instances where I've had to punch because of the style, the rap style, like
right. Breath control.
There's a joint on my album M.A. Doom, Son of Yvonne, called Slow Down, where I'm rhyming over that MF Doom beat, where the beat constantly gets slower and slower and slower and slower, and the rhyme overlaps itself kind of. So I tried to do it numerous takes. I tried to do it straight through, and I'm struggling with the next line because I've already run out of breath, and I gotta. So once I figured out, okay, this particular rhyme is not going to work doing it straight through, right. and then I did every other line, and then I went back and recorded every other line.
Well, coming up
they matched up.
Coming up throughout your journey and career, were there moments or producers that you were like say Marley Marl, and you were like, nah, let me go straight through, just off of the pride factor, or you were like, you still didn't mind getting punched in no matter who was around?
No, I don't care about that.
Okay.
I didn't realize that there was a point in hip hop where punching in became a shame thing. I didn't grow up in that atmosphere
Right.
environment where punching was a shameful thing, or oh, you whack, you punched in. Like I'm trying to get the song done, and I wanted to sound as good as possible. And so the point is, once I'm on that stage and I got to perform that joint, as long as I can perform it and say everything properly, that's more important.
Yeah, I've seen people feel that like if when you punch in, it loses maybe some of the energy that you had from when you said it the first time. When you're saying it straight through, there's a certain energy, a momentum that goes with it. But
That's
I
on
don't.
the artist though. That's on the rapper.
Mm,
You have to match your energy. Like you have to listen to the way you're saying it, and you also got to rap along with it too. Like a lot of times I don't know, these younger cats. I don't know if they rap along with it for the punch. I think they wait for that line and then start rhyming, and that's never gonna that doesn't match.
yeah, I've seen a video a couple weeks ago. It's online. Anybody can search it up. It's called the punching method, and that's what's going on. It's like a 5 minute, kind of like a mini doc, little small short film. I think Just Blaze is in it. A lot of like notable people are in it, and that's really what's happening currently. Like, so a lot of people just stay there, and that's the new method, and that's how it's getting done. So what about the revision process, right? So you writing these rhymes, or it's one and done, it's written, that's it, or you let me go back and fix this. Is it fixed after recorded? Where's the opportunities for revision?
Marco will tell you, I am the revisionist king. Like I've driven all the way back from Jersey to his house in Brooklyn because I came up with a better way to say this particular line. Like everything else is dope, but I got something better in that spot. I want to say that line over. And so yeah, I listen to my stuff over and over
Yeah.
before I say, okay, it's final. I typically when I come in to first record, I'm reading off the phone, right? I lay it
Okay.
down just so it's down. Now I got it down.
Right.
Never ever that first day, almost never is that going to be the version that makes the record, the album.
Okay.
I always know ahead of time. Okay, I'm gonna listen to this 1,000 times. And when I come back, I'm
Right.
gonna have it memorized, and the phone is gonna be put away. And and that's when I sound the best. That's when I've memorized it completely, and I
Okay.
just come in, I just knock it out, and it always sounds better without reading. When you read it, it just never sounds right.
Okay. So your final versions are always off the dome from the memory, from memorizing the rhyme after a while.
Typically, yes. There's been a couple of instances where I was still kind of in reading mode, and I came back and redid it, memorized, and Marco was like, "Yo, I ain't gonna front. I like the version you did the first time. Let's keep day one." It doesn't happen often, but it has happened.
Just to kind of like give you some props on your memory, because you earlier started off talking about how you used to write the rhymes coming home and had to memorize because you didn't have all these different other things to delve into your mind, your memory bank. And then now, I mean, I've recorded with you, but I didn't recall that you would actually come back and necessarily do every verse like that, or so on and so forth. But I wanted to big you up because your memory, when you're at shows, it almost seems like it's like you're a jukebox with all your catalog, yo. Because anybody can just say a record, yo, what record y'all want to hear, and you able to delve into the files and do records that people haven't heard in years. So
Only certain joints though.
yeah, okay,
So this is what I'll say about that.
all right,
If it's a record that at some point in my career was in my show, that I've done it
okay,
multiple times on stage before, even if it was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, if I've performed it in my show, it usually sticks. If you asking me to do some album cut that I have not rapped since I was in the studio and laid it down, it's not going to work. Very rarely is it going to work. And every now and then, somebody will yell out a feature verse that I did on somebody. Like for example, Cunning Linguist joint.
Right.
There's joints that I've done with other people that because I've performed them a few times, they stick too. So yeah, and I try to pride myself on remembering the words. And again, it's me challenging myself too. I'll tell the crowd, I'll be like, yo, I haven't done this song in like 12 years. I said I might not remember it all, but we're going to try it. And I'm
Man.
literally remembering the rhyme as I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Which
I've
is
seen it.
crazy. Which is
Yeah.
crazy. And sometimes I'll get stuck and I'll be like, sorry, y'all, it's the best I could have did. But they'd be happy that I tried,
Right. So with all these albums, right? Since I've known you from making music, even when I bought the first album, to Take a Look Around and everything, one of my favorite songs that you've ever written was Brooklyn Battles, right? So that's one of my favorite records. First of all, the beat, oh man. And then I think what made me like I literally remember living in my mom's apartment, like playing that mad times over and over. Love that song. What's so phenomenal about the song, not only the beat, but you understanding the pace and timing to rhyme on that beat, and tell that story, because you could have got that beat and somebody could have just rhyme fast or slow. It's just like you understand how to switch up your cadence and flow on that. But to add more to what I'm leading to is the storytelling aspect, right? So how important was it for you to figure out that Masta Ace is a storytelling artist? Because there was the battle, that there's the battle Masta Ace, there's the rapper Masta Ace, there's the MC. Like there's all these realms that you travel to become the next level of who you are now. So what was it when you said, I need to become this great storyteller you are?
I don't think I even said that. I think it felt the most natural, and I had the most fun writing story rhymes. The way that I got discovered, if you will, was me performing at this contest at USA skating rink in Queens. That's how I got the studio time with Marley Marl. The rhymes that I said to win that contest, it was a rhyme that was about a girl that I met. It was a whole sexcapade story. It wasn't no explicit, because we wasn't really that explicit back then. You know what I mean? Like, but it had all these punchlines and surprise endings. It was all kind of based off of Lottie Dottie with Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh. Like, so the drum program was set up. I programmed the drum machine on the F train on the way to the contest.
Wow.
Program to make sure all the beats that it dropped out in the right lines and all of that. So I planned all of that out ahead of time. But that story rhyme about the girl, it was called A Hoe is a Hoe. A hoe is a hoe is a hoe. And in case you didn't know, there's a whole lot of hoes in the world. A hoe is a hoe is a hoe. And if you don't watch out, the next one might be your girl. So when I hit them with that, crowd was like, oh, because at that time, just saying the word hoe on stage was like, that was kind of like risque a little bit. Like, oh, you calling girls hoes? So that rhyme, that story rhyme about this girl that I met, basically won me the contest. And so naturally, if you have success at something, or you feel like I'm best at this, and so I just always would go back to what I felt what I was the best at, and what I enjoyed to do. I enjoy telling stories. I enjoy, me and you've been together in vans on the phone, whatever, and I'm telling you a story about something that happened years ago you ain't know nothing about, and you like laughing like, yo, because I love telling stories. So whether I'm telling them in a rhyme or I'm just talking to a friend, telling them a story about something that happened.
But where's I guess I'm trying to hopefully pinpoint, like, because I just know, like, as artists, we like, man, it's scary to be an artist, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, take a chance, right? So like when I'm like, I follow your career from getting the records, right? So we buy the records, we get it. but we don't know, like, in between that year or two, there's this turmoil within yourself becoming you. Is it like when you did this story record, I'm gonna rock with this one? I know the battle one is a whole joint, but you get deep with records. Like you go, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Started making cinematic albums. Was it like, you know, this record? I guess I'm asking this because I'm trying to figure out where was your fear point. Where was that fear? And then you said, this is it. I'm gonna rock this way, and y'all rock with me or not. Because remember, we were going through times in hip hop when if you wasn't rhyming on some maybe street, maybe some gangster stuff, if you weren't rhyming about particular stuff, it could have been Afrocentricity, it could have been whatever it is. You weren't sustainable in a way. You almost couldn't sustain a career. But I've bought every album of yours, and all the albums still had that integrity of somehow saying, I'm rhyming on this about that, but I'm gonna make sure it stays in a story format. So I guess I'm just asking the fear. When did you get rid of that fear? Or maybe that fear never left, you know?
It was never really about fear for me. It was really about fun. And I feel like I have the most fun writing stories, writing story rhymes. And because when I'm writing the story rhyme, I don't really know where the story is going. And until I write that next line, I don't know, unless it's in very rare cases have I wrote a story rhyme that was completely verbatim true. Generally it's you know, some form of fiction mixed in. And so I have the freedom to create this story, and I can really take it anywhere I want to go. And I have the most fun doing that. I'm gonna tell you a story about when I was in 8th grade, junior high, and we had this there was one of these statewide standardized tests that they were giving us. And this particular day, it was the English section, or the writing section rather, English writing section.
Right.
And so the way that the test was, they gave you a bank of like 20 or 25 words.
Right.
And they said, we want you to write a story and use as many of these words in your story as you want. And I took that as a challenge to use every word that they gave me. And I wrote this story. I wrote this full story out with using all of the words that they gave me. And the next day, or maybe it was the next week, our teacher, you know, she said, you know, we were grading the papers. Now, for some reason, I feel like we didn't there was no name. You didn't put your name on the paper. The only reason I'm saying that because the teacher didn't know, but she was talking about this one particular paper that all the teachers were passing around to each other. Read this story that this student wrote.
Okay.
And so she starts she was like, yeah, all the teachers were like blown away. There was this one student, and she starts saying what was in the story, and this happened in the story, and this happened in the story, and we were just like, what? And I'm sitting there going, that's my paper.
Right.
She's talking about the story that I wrote, and I never revealed to her that it was me. I kept it to myself, but just that one bit of validation in 8th grade went a long way, and I carried that with me.
Yeah, and that's what's so wild. Like talking to you about that, then talking about the articulate, you know, and all of those things. It's so wild. Like as we get older, even to this age and stage, you always can reflect on moments of when somebody said something, when somebody did this, that made you who you are and where you are now. So it kind of gives me that kind of understanding of the confidence that you had throughout your career to become a great storyteller. And to today, now you're writing like musicals. And what is it like with writing a musical versus an album or a song? What has that been like? Tell us about the musical.
It's two completely different worlds, to be honest with you. It's two complete, but it is still storytelling though.
Yeah.
It is still storytelling. And I never
What's the name of it
Well,
again? It's the Fallen Season.
it's called The Fallen Season. It's named after one of my albums. Um, the story doesn't really follow that album. And
Yeah.
there's no songs really from that album, but there is the Young Black Intelligent song, or I should say the mantra of Young Black Intelligent does show up in the music.
Okay.
That's the only kind of thing that I pulled from the album that you will hear in the music of the musical. But it was an amazing experience, or I should say, it still is an amazing experience because I'm still, it's finished. We've had a reading. We did a reading back in
Right.
2023 in June, and that reading was amazing. The people that came out loved it. Since that time, we just been um, fundraising, trying to find investors so that we can take this thing to the next level. The next level for me would be going to the West End out in London, because I just feel strongly like I have a stronger fan base in Europe, and I feel like fans in Paris would take the train into London. I feel like fans in Germany and Switzerland would take the quick easy jet flight into London to see
Right.
my show, and fans in obviously in the UK would come out and support. But it was a great experience. It's an ongoing experience because we're, like I said, I haven't touched the manuscript in since probably October or something like that. But you know, I'll the next time I read it, I'll immediately start editing. Every time you read it, you're fixing dialogue, you're fixing things that you see that, or it'd be better if the character says this instead of that. But like I said, it's an ongoing experience. I collaborated with a hip hop theater production company called Rhymes Over Beats. Our boy Power Malo, Baby Power, put me in touch with them years ago. It's 7 years in the making right now, in terms of the
Mhm.
writing process, and we are, phase phase three, I guess, of now fundraising, and we just finished putting together a sizzle reel about the musical that we can take to investors. Trying to sit down with some of the big wigs in the theater world. Lin-Manuel Miranda and others are aware of what we're doing, and the next step is sitting down with these great folks and having them, see the sizzle reel and potentially watch the taped uh, reading that we did, so they can get a sense of the show and next steps.
Who are some of the cast members that people may know? Because I know
Nobody, nobody that you would
anybody.
know. Well,
Okay.
that's not true. My wife, Lachey, who was a recording artist on Warner Brothers back in '97, she dropped the album. Um, she plays the role of the main character's mother.
Okay.
Um, and it was interesting because originally that character wasn't a fully developed character. That character, the mother character, only showed up at the very end of the story. At graduation, she shows up, and so the producer was like, "We can't, we can't pay an actress to come in and just be in one scene, and she serves no other purpose." He's like, "So either do away with that character or expand that character." And I chose to expand the character and
Nice.
give her some flashback scenes, because she's incarcerated throughout the entire story.
Mm.
But I do flashbacks, giving you insight into how she got incarcerated. All of the you get like backstory for her.
Right.
And so at that point, the producer was like, well, it wasn't even the producer. We did a Zoom read.
Right.
And so I asked my wife, I was like, yo, can you read for this character for the Zoom read? Because at that point we weren't casting for the Zoom read. We were literally just calling in favors. Yo, can you come on this Zoom and read this character? Yes, I could do it. So she did a great job in the Zoom read. And after we did that, when it came time to cast for the actual roles, he was like, yo, I think your wife should just do that role. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm glad he said it and not me, because I don't want to be that guy
Yeah, I know you're
So
saying.
so him being the producer, putting up all the money, I was glad that he was like, I think Shay would be great for this. I'm like, let's do it. I'm totally with it. She'll tell you I didn't want her in it, and there's no way that that's the case. And so I just felt like it was more genuine if he said, let's let her do that role, as opposed to me saying, yo, put my wife. Can you put my wife in it? Like
Yeah.
that's me though. That's me. I mean, others are different.
So then, what's the comparison as far as your albums are pretty much for me and probably for most of us, they're already musicals. We're listening to the acting going on, and then the song comes on, and then for the stage, I'm sure there's a lot that deals with. You got the people that do the rigging, the lighting. There's so many other things that go into it. But are there some parallels with as far as the songs being written? So I know, like on the album, you're writing more for an aesthetic of listening, and you might want sound effects there. But when you're writing the script, when you're putting in certain details, they actually have to have the props. So where'd you see some of the similarities? Yeah, the similarities. Any
So
similarities?
so the difference between doing an album and doing a musical
Mm-hmm.
are this. So with my albums, I write all the songs,
Okay.
and then I figure out what the skits are going to be that are going to go in between the songs.
Uh
It's the opposite for theater. The music comes last. So I write, I write all the dialogue, I write all the scenes, and then after the scenes are pretty much all written and the storyline is basically down, then it becomes okay. This character there needs to be a song here. So instead of this character saying these lines, turn that into a song, because this is like
right.
this is a heightened part of the story. And so I had to go back and create songs and add the songs into the in between the dialogue, which is
Right.
completely opposite of doing an album. But it was a challenge. So like I said, I love challenges. When it comes to creative challenges, I love that. So it was tough at certain points in time, but I pulled it off. I had a couple of really great melody writers. Our boy Pav helped me out. Smitty, and Pearl Gates. All of those guys helped me with melodies for some of the songs, because I don't really write melody like that. So those guys helped me with melody, and yeah, we knocked it out, man. It came out great.
So knowing you as well, you since I've known you, you've been into health. So like we go on the road. Anybody knows when we're on the road, there's no smoking in the backstage. People come in, they see fruit, they like, what the heck is going on here? We don't got no alcohol in there, there's no candy popping off, there's almond milk, it's a whole bunch of the health regimen, and that's what's on the rider. You also have a song plant-based on the Richmond Hill album currently. And so what's the reason or why you're very into like health and hip hop? You sell sea moss and a whole bunch of different things that you're into with health and hip hop. Um, how come that's such I guess a staple of what you do currently?
Well, I was diagnosed back in the year 2000 with multiple sclerosis, and it became clear to me through research that more than likely this autoimmune disease was brought on by something that I had eaten throughout the course of my life. And I never pinpointed what particular thing that was, but I did know that I contributed to this autoimmune disease being in my system. And so I saw myself gaining weight around that time. I was teetering just under 200 pounds, which is heavy for me. Um, I saw a photo of me at Disney World holding my daughter and a stomach. I was wearing 2X shirts at that time, like, and so I didn't like that picture, and I said, I need to make some changes, and so I just systematically started eliminating certain foods from my
Mhm.
diet. Any foods that contain high fructose corn syrup, I eliminated all sodas and juices and snacks, things of that nature. I started actively working out more. I mean, I was working out in 2000, 2001. I was working out around that time more. I got more into it. Just being moving because I didn't know what the disease was going to do for me down the road. And I said, if I want to have a good quality of life going forward, I need to make some changes. Why would I do things that are going to allow the disease to advance and become more aggressive? Maybe I can do things to make it kind of go to sleep for a while. So that's how I got on that journey of eating a certain way. And it's paid out dividends for me because I'm still super active. I go to the gym at least 3 days a week, and I'm still active. The other day, was it yesterday? Saturday, I was in Manhattan. I took the train. I drove out and I took the train. So I'm walking through the streets of Manhattan, and there was a raised curb, a raised piece of sidewalk. Right, I didn't see it, and I tripped, and my foot hit it, and immediately that leg I planted that foot in the ground, boom, and I was good. But it was like I took like 2-3 steps, boom, 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 caught myself. But when I think about it, I'm like, if I wasn't in proper shape, if I wasn't conditioned, that could have been a face plant. That could have been broken nose, broken teeth, busted lips. We as we get older, those type of mistakes or little slip ups can be broken hips and bad results. And so I'm just glad that I'm actively in the gym, actively moving, because I'm able to at least be stable with my falling, walking, all that kind of stuff. Super important. And that little trip made me realize, like, damn, I'm glad I'm working out, because this could have been bad. This could have been really bad. And to all my people that are listening to this interview right now that are on the north side of 50, we gotta. The goal is to add years. I mean, you got two choices. You can add years or you can subtract them. Which one do you want to do? That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to add years if I can.
Yeah, I remember on tour, I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna join you tomorrow with the run." Man, my lungs were burning. I was like, this is serious. I was like, how many miles you do? I think you said you was doing like, what are you saying, 8? Am I off? 3?
I was
3? Was it 3?
The most I was doing was 5. It might have been 3.
5. Okay, you did 5. And I was like, we went down a hill too. I was like, yo, this is crazy right here for me. Man, just working out, man. I work out now more often than before, but I just was like, man, it's, you just take it for granted a lot of times. So you have it's that song called The Fight Song, right, with Pharoah Monch as well. So people can check that out as well. Just delving more into it, and the way it's creatively done, I think is extraordinary for people to check out as well. So as far as like, how do you get out of creative blocks? If you're just like, man, do you ever get a creative block? I don't really believe in those situations, honestly. I think like it's a battle within yourself of how you want to use your time, and versus the importance of when this is done or due. So
I don't think I've ever experienced a creative block. The only thing that will be blocked for me might be inspiration.
Right.
Might just be like, it's not that I can't come up with a rhyme, but what I don't know what I want to rhyme about. I don't know if there's anything I want to rhyme about. And usually when that happens, I'll just take a few years before I do an album, and wait until the inspiration hits me. That's what I'll do. But in terms of like, I gotta write this rhyme and I can't come up with nothing, that should never happen, because our brains are always swirling and working and moving, and the beat, because I let the beat dictate where it goes, it's easy. It's different if I'm coming up with rhymes in a vacuum with no beat. But the beat, the cadence and the bounce of the beat is going to send me in a particular direction. I just have to listen to it, and I hum and I hum and I ba 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 ba. I kind of figure out what the cadence sounds like it should be, and then I just keep doing the ba 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 ba, and then eventually the ba ba ba's turn into actual words, and that's how I fill in the blanks.
And then those songs typically that you create end up being like dope that adds to your showmanship. So before knowing you, you know, I'm buying the music and listening to music, getting to know you, and then going on tour with you. I learned a lot about increasing, enhancing, and my own showmanship, and just watching how meticulously you would put together shows, and you would have rehearsals. We wouldn't even go on tour unless we rehearsed. We would fly in first to rehearse and then fly overseas. So a lot of people probably just, yo, what up, what up? I'll meet you over there when we land. We would actually fly in to rehearse and then go across and overseas. So also you would have color coordination with the gear, the way the show starts, and the way the songs blend. To this day, I remember a lot of mean faces you gave the DJs. You probably be giving those to Marco and Power and Flo Fader. Everybody, you know, they mess up. So, what's the importance of showmanship for you throughout these years? Why have you held it in such high regard?
Because I was around some of the best to do it, some of the best to touch a stage. Biz Markie and Big Daddy Kane were two of the guys that I saw tear shows to the ground, tear crowds up, and just watching in the wings, watching the routines, the things that they did, how they played around with the crowd, different things that they did on that stage. And I'm like, this is a show. This is dope. And I'm watching the crowd respond to things that they're doing, and the interaction with the crowd participation, all of it. I'm paying attention. I took so many notes in my head of how to rock a crowd. And those two artists in particular, who I was around quite a bit, were the two artists that kind of, they set the bar for me. So I knew that when the time came for me to touch a stage, I was going to try to entertain people the way that they were entertaining people. And so every time that I've dropped an album, I've come up with a brand new show for that particular project. And you know, some artists do the same show for 20 years, like the same
Right.
song order, the same setups. I'm more interested in surprising people. Even if you see me 3 years ago, it's not going to be the same show. It's going to be something different about the show, so that you don't necessarily know what the next song is going to be, because I'm switching everything up. That's just something that, and again, it goes back to me having a good time up there too. I'm excited about this new wrinkle that I added to the show that nobody's seen yet. I'm excited about
Right.
this thing we about to do, and see how it comes off. I would get bored really quickly if I was doing the same show like since way back when, the same song setups. There's a few. If it's a song that I don't do very often, then I might use the same setup for a period of time. But for the most part, if songs that are in my show consistently, I'm going to always switch up the order, the setup, everything about it.
And I think that's why, you know, you're consistently touring and the shows are sold out often, because, you know, I've been around you with the rehearsal, and you take the showmanship very, very it's very important. And I think that's a test to your longevity. Switching gears, man. A lot of people may not know that you were an educator, and you're still educating through the music and things like that, but you have a curriculum. There's a Masta Ace curriculum that's out there, and in which your songs are being used as a means to educate students from, I think it's a reading standpoint, and also just kind of delving deep into just more of context, questioning, more. It's not just surface level, like reading it and then asking kind of just like, what did you like about it? What do you know, just something basic, but more so, what do you think he meant when he said this? How come this word is impactful? People are really delving into it. Can you speak more on this Masta Ace curriculum that's out there and how it's come about, how people can get it?
Shout to my guy Andre Benito Mountain, who lives out in Atlanta. he's the one who created this. It's called the Hip Hop Lit Lab, and he decided to use songs from my catalog as it's like volume one, but he has one with Dead Prez, and I think the next one is coming. I can't remember who it is, but he's collaborating with different artists with this Hip Hop Lit Lab that he's trying to get. He's actively trying to get into schools around the country. There's a way to engage young people and teach them literature, but through the eyes of hip hop artists. You know, for many years it was always, you know, Shakespeare and this one and that one, and he's like, yo, these kids, they can't relate to Shakespeare, but they can relate to the poetry of a Masta Ace or somebody,
Right.
or somebody like that. So his goal is to find, you know, kid-friendly lyrics, kid-friendly songs that work well in the classroom, so that it will engage these young people and make them want to learn. And so I was actually honored that he decided to use, I think it's like 15 songs of mine
Yeah.
in his lesson plan for the first volume. But there's more to come. Hip Hop Lit Lab, and he was a principal in Atlanta for many years, and now he just got a job at the Universal Hip Hop Museum, from what I'm hearing. So he's doing his thing, man. He's on the education side of it, and yeah, got much respect to my man Andre Benito Mountain.
And then you have some upcoming. You're going to be a speaker at Baruch College soon. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So
I
you're
told you
gonna,
about that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
are you delving into it from a? So I think some people know that you were a football coach, you know, and you were in the school system, like you're official teacher. Like it's not like, you know, like I'm like making it up. Like you really have been in the halls of academia. So and now that today hip hop academia is becoming this massive thing right now. It's huge. It's exploding. I just want people to kind of understand there's so many other realms that, let's say if you're not getting the Masta Ace music right now, and you haven't bought the Masta Ace music or heard it in a minute, but you're on this education side of things, now you can be like, wow, let me go grab that, you know, because a lot of times nowadays people don't necessarily hear music. We all living lives, but then they're in this other world living, and they're like, wow, okay, I haven't heard the music around, but you know what, let me go get this, he's doing this. So you can go grab the curriculum. So being in this world, in this realm now of education more so, and being a guest speaker at Baruch, what are the attendees expected to hear?
So I'm going there to speak to a few theater classes,
Nice.
theater and acting classes. We're going to talk about my experience as a first-time playwright. You know, what it took to get to that point, what the experience was like, how it connects to my music career, and yeah, they for those in the class that actually want to go into theater in some way or maybe become playwrights, I'll try to give them insight into what it took for me to get to that point, and it's gonna be fun, man. I like speaking it. It's so crazy to me because I swear, college students now look like high school kids to me. Like they look
Yeah,
so young to me. It's
I
crazy.
know it is wild to think like that, right? It's like we're so much older. You be like, wow.
They look like high school kids, honestly.
Yeah. So then next up, I would ask about the Richmond Hill. It's the re-release with some bonus songs that's coming out. So I want to drop this interview amongst that around that time. That's coming out soon, right? What you have?
Yeah, I don't have the release date yet, month yet, but we've
Okay.
handed everything in. Everything's being mastered. So I'm hoping sooner than later. I'm hoping in the first quarter that this is going to drop.
What can people expect to see on it? So if you already got the first album, I have the first album. I buy every album that you drop, so that's how it is for me. I got everything digitally, always pre-order every album. So people that have the album streaming it, bought it, may have gotten the original vinyl, and now this new re-release. What are their expectations?
So this is the deluxe version. It's gonna have there's a song on the original Richmond Hill called "Below the Clouds," featuring Blue from Blue in Exile. So now we have a remix of Below the Clouds featuring Talib Kweli, which is very dope. And then there's a couple of Marco decided to do a remix of Get Shot, which was we were supposed to put it out on the left.
That's my favorite. Yeah. That's my joint.
He got a really nice remix. We were supposed to put it out back when Brooklyn Story was out, but we were trying to get somebody to feature on it.
Right.
But it didn't work out, so he just flipped the remix. And then there's another remix. There's another remix of another version of Below the Clouds with Blue on it. And then there's a brand new joint which I just did. I just finished it the other day.
Yeah, you were on your IG showing that. You was on the IG talking about that. Yeah. Like I'm in the Marco crib, knocking the new stuff out.
I didn't play. I should have played it. I should have played a little piece of it in the post, but I didn't want to OD. But the beat is nuts. And
I got a question, Ace. Are those deluxe songs? If I bought the album already, do you know? Because sometimes you bought the original, then the deluxe automatically updates in your original.
Digitally, I believe digitally it will. Yes.
Oh wow. Okay. I'm amped now. I'm amped because I like that surprise right there.
Yeah. That's coming. So it's four bonus joints. One new joint, the remix with Kweli, and then two other Get Shot and another Below the Clouds remix. So yeah, the new joint is called Al Dente.
Al Dente.
Yeah.
All right, my brother. Yo, I want to thank you for your time, your energy, man. I got some other stuff here, man. I could have some other stuff, but I'm like,
it'd be 3 hours with us.
Yo, I know. I was gonna ask about like when you graduated, being on the cover. I mean, I got the toy. You know, I got all that stuff, man. You know, you inspired me, man, to do so much. I learned so much from being on the road with you, man, and like taking things way more seriously and just understanding like instead of I think when I met you, I was just a rapper. And then when I went on the road with you, I became an artist. That's kind of how I see what I learned. Like I became more of an artist. I became a better businessman, like as far as like seeing how you would handle the shows, the budgets, and watching the gas and watching the tolls and then calculating and everything like that. So I learned so much from just being around you and motivated me to be just keep going because like I watched you still going since bought your first project and then you were still going putting out great albums that I was like, I think the key to just being successful is just keep going. And I got that from being around you super often. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot, man. Tell everybody your social media. If you don't got a social media on there, he be having what is it? Is it not it's not raccoons? Raccoons? What is it? That be under
groundhog.
The groundhog series is on there.
So many people hit me about that. Like, yo, this should be a TV show. I'm like, I don't want it to be a TV show because I don't want no more groundhogs, bro. Like, but people were so invested in the removal of these because I had to trap them. I had to catch and release cage, and I would have to catch them and then drive, 45 minutes away because they say that if you don't drive far enough, they will come back. So last summer I caught and released three groundhogs. The year before it was 3 others. So like it's been quite hopefully they don't come back this summer, but if they do come back, they'll be season 2.
Yeah, and then I saw the deer in the yard.
Oh man, that's
you said get out of here. I was dying.
Get out of here. Deer didn't even flinch. Deer was like, man, shut up.
I was dying laughing. I got tears in my laughing at that.
I went stomping out there and they took off when I came outside though. They went out.
Man. So yeah, so what's the Instagram again? Masta Ace Pics, right?
Masta Ace Pics, PICS, and the Twitter, which I don't know how much longer I'm staying on Twitter, but Masta Ace, MASTAACE, and Masta Ace Official is the Facebook.
And they can get at you that way also for if they want some direction to get the curriculum for class, to get you for the guest speaking. Everything is that direction, right? Just going on there, hit you on the DM.
They hit me on the DM, and yeah, and the Def Ed is what the where you can get the curriculum. It's DEFED on I believe it's on if you look that up, Def Ed on IG, his page will pop up, and then you can find out how to get the books and stuff.
Yeah, I'll add it in here too as well. So yeah, Ace, man, thank you again for your time, your energy, man, who you are, how you helped me out in life, and to this day continuing, you know. So everybody out there, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, support. And I ask you out there, what are your words worth? Peace, y'all.